At my sister's birthday party, my father took the microphone and turned celebration into spectacle. His voice boomed through the room, polished and practiced. Tonight, he announced, smiling like a king granting mercy, our successful daughter Lauren Brooks is gifting her penthouse to her sister, Mia. Applause exploded. 30 people clapped as if generosity had just been born, not theft disguised as family love. I stood frozen, my fingers numb around my car keys, metal cold against my palm. My mother's stare cut into me from across the room, sharp, warning, absolute. My father's grin told me resistance was pointless. But when I said no, everything changed. The crack of his hand cut through the music. My earring flew loose, skidding across the marble floor before disappearing under a table. That slap didn't just sting. It erased whatever bond we had left. The night had started like every other Brooks family event, expensive, loud, and painfully rehearsed. Crystal chandeliers bathed the house in gold. Marble floors reflected designer heels, silk dresses, half-drunk champagne flutes. A live quartet played near the glass wall overlooking downtown Chicago. From the outside, it was perfection. Inside, it was a performance I never mastered. 2 hours earlier, I'd arrived carrying a rare bottle of wine and the same polite smile I always wore here. My mother barely glanced up. "Good, Lauren. Just set it on the bar," she said, rearranging the dessert display. My sister Mia stood nearby, glowing, surrounded by friends. She laughed loudly, carefree, demanding attention. Her fiancé, Ryan, leaned close to whisper something, and she nudged him playfully, her diamond bracelet catching the light. "You look exhausted," my mother added, still not facing me. "You work too much." "I run a company," I said quietly. "That's kind of the point." She hummed dismissively. "You should think about balance. And maybe help your sister get back on her feet. She's been struggling." Struggling. That word had covered every bad decision Mia ever made. For years, she drifted from one failed venture to another, cushioned by my parents' money and excuses. Meanwhile, every achievement I earned came with a reminder to stay humble, as if success were something to apologize for. I moved through the room, greeting relatives and family friends who believed they knew us. Aunt Carol pinched my cheek. "Still single," she teased. "All that success and no husband yet?" I smiled thinly. Her husband raised his glass. "Men don't like intimidating women, sweetheart." Their laughter scraped against my nerves. I retreated to the bar, pretending to check emails. Across the room, I overheard whispers. "She's such a free spirit," someone said about Mia. "Not tied down like Lauren," another added. "Money isn't everything." I swallowed wine that tasted bitter going down. My father worked the room like a politician, handshakes, laughs, control hidden behind charm. When he reached me, his grip settled heavily on my shoulder. "You proud of your sister tonight?" he asked. "Of course," I replied. He leaned in. "You've done well for yourself. Maybe it's time you shared that success. Family takes care of family." It wasn't advice. It was a warning dressed as affection. The music swelled. Guests gathered for a toast. I caught Mia's eyes across the room. For a moment, she looked uneasy. Almost guilty. Then my father lifted the microphone. Feedback screeched. Conversations died instantly. He stood tall, center stage, voice smooth and commanding. "Tonight, we celebrate generosity. The kind that keeps families strong." My stomach dropped. He turned toward me, smiling without warmth. And what better way to show that bond than a gift from one sister to another? Our hardworking Lauren has decided to give her penthouse to her sister, Mia. Applause thundered. Phones came out. Someone gasped, "That's amazing." I stood there, glass unmoved, smile locked in place. Across the room, Mia covered her mouth in fake surprise. And that's when I realized. This wasn't a request. It was a public execution. "Dad, really? Mia said, her voice quivering just enough to sound heartfelt. My mother dabbed the corner of her eye. This is so beautiful. My stomach twisted. Every face in the room turned toward me, waiting for my cue, to smile, to nod, to surrender. My father extended his hand, palm open, not an invitation but a demand. Come on, sweetheart, he said into the microphone. It's only fair. Your sister's been having a hard time. You can always buy another place. Something inside me finally broke. Years of swallowing comments. Years of smiling through favoritism dressed up as concern. Years of being the reliable one, the wallet, the solution, the afterthought. They all crashed together in that moment. I placed my wine glass down carefully, my fingers shaking just slightly. No. My voice wasn't loud. But it was unmistakable. The word cut through the applause like glass shattering. My father blinked, genuinely confused, as if the concept itself didn't register. What did you say? I straightened, feeling lighter with every breath. I said no. I'm not giving away my home. Whispers rippled through the room. Aunt Carol's mouth fell open. Uncle Mark muttered, ungrateful. My mother snapped, sharp and urgent. Lauren, stop this. You're embarrassing us. I turned to her, steady. I've supported this family for years. I paid for half of tonight, the venue, the wine, the chef. But that penthouse is mine. Mia's eyes filled with tears that looked practiced. Lauren, please, it's not like that. It was exactly like that. My father's smile disappeared. His jaw tightened, microphone still clenched in his hand. You're defying me, he said, stepping closer. His voice was low, but the room was silent enough that everyone heard it. I didn't even have time to react. His hand came fast. Hard. The sound echoed through the room. My head snapped to the side, heat exploding across my cheek. My earring tore loose, skidding across the marble floor until it struck a chair leg. The room gasped as one. No one moved. No one stepped in. I slowly straightened, touched my burning cheek, and looked directly at him. He waited for tears. For apologies. For collapse. Instead, I bent down, picked up my earring, and whispered, Happy birthday, Mia. Then I walked away. The hallway outside the banquet room felt colder, quieter, as if the walls themselves refused to carry what had just happened. My cheek still burned, skin hot against the chilled marble. I pressed my palm to it, half expecting to feel his fingerprints carved there. Behind the closed doors, the music started again. That was my family, turning shame into background noise. My heels struck the floor in a steady rhythm. I wasn't running. I was finished running. In the reflection of a glass console table, I caught my own eyes, calm, detached, hard. That calm frightened me more than the slap. It meant something inside me had gone completely still. Like a lake right before a storm. I reached into my clutch and pulled out my phone. One tap. A single button glowing blue. I stared at the screen for a moment, then locked it. Months earlier, my best friend Kayla had warned me, if they cross that line again, don't argue. Just call her. Your grandmother's the only one they're afraid of. I'd laughed back then. I can handle them. Kayla had only said quietly, handling isn't the same as being free. Now her words echoed with every step. I stopped by a floor-to-ceiling window. Chicago's skyline shimmered beyond the glass, indifferent, untouchable. Somewhere out there was my penthouse. The one they tried to take from me with applause. My reflection stared back, half light, half shadow. The elevator chimed. Inside, I pressed the lobby button and watched the doors close. My pulse slowed as the floors passed. Each one felt like another layer of control snapping back into place. In the lobby, the air smelled of white lilies and expensive perfume. I leaned against the marble wall and exhaled for the first time that night. My phone buzzed. On my way. I typed back one word. Good. Then I turned the phone face down and walked toward the glass doors. Outside, the summer air was warm, but I felt nothing. As I crossed the driveway, headlights swept over the entrance. A black sedan pulled up smoothly. A woman stepped out. Tall. Composed. Silver hair catching the light. And suddenly, for the first time that night, I smiled. She didn't look at me. She didn't need to. I gave a single nod. She returned it. From inside, laughter still drifted faintly through the glass walls. In 30 minutes, that laughter would die. And when it did, everyone in that room would understand what happens when you try to humiliate the wrong daughter. The string quartet was still playing when the doors opened, but the music felt thin, empty. The woman with silver hair entered slowly, her heels clicking against the marble like a countdown. Conversations froze mid-sentence. "Daniel Brooks," she said calmly. "Explain why you struck your daughter." My father lowered the microphone. The color drained from his face. "Mother, this isn't what it looks like." "Then tell me," Margaret Brooks replied, tapping her cane once against the floor, "what I should be seeing." Her gaze swept the room. "You humiliated Lauren. You demanded her home as if she were an ATM. Then her eyes lifted to the guests. And every one of you applauded." Silence collapsed over the room. Even the musicians stopped. My mother rushed forward, hands shaking. "Mom, please. It was a misunderstanding." "Be very careful with that word," Margaret said coolly. "You've used it for years to excuse cruelty." My father straightened his tie. "This was family business. She overreacted." I stepped out from the doorway. "I said no," I said evenly. "That's not overreacting. That's setting a boundary." Margaret turned her head toward me, said nothing, only lifted her chin. "You have 5 minutes," she announced, "to find her earring." A sharp gasp moved through the crowd. Mia dropped to her knees immediately, her gown pulling around her as she scrambled across the marble floor. Guests shifted awkwardly, unsure whether to help or disappear. "Mother, this is unnecessary," my father snapped, his voice rising. "It is absolutely necessary," Margaret replied. "When a man strikes a woman, he kneels to retrieve what he knocked away." No one moved. Even the air felt suspended. Mia searched beneath tables, mascara streaking down her face. My mother whispered her name but didn't dare approach. Phones were raised now. Every angle. Every second. Streaming. "Enough," Margaret said. "Stand up. All of you." She faced my father fully. "You run a company, Daniel. Not a kingdom. And as of tonight, you run neither." He blinked. "What are you saying?" "I'm rewriting my will," she said evenly. "My estate. My accounts. Everything goes to Lauren." Shock cracked through the room like glass under pressure. My mother gasped. Mia froze. "That's insane," my father barked. "You can't do that." "I can," Margaret replied softly, "and I will." "You shattered your daughter's dignity in public. You will live with that reflection." He tried to laugh. It broke in his throat. "You'll regret this." Margaret turned to the guests. "You've all seen enough. Remember what you witnessed." Then she looked at me. "Do you have the earring?" I nodded and opened my clutch. The pearl rested in my palm, small, luminous beneath the chandelier light. I walked to the center of the room and placed it gently on the table. "There it is," I said. No one spoke. My father stared at it like it might explode. My mother clutched her chest. Mia's eyes were empty. Margaret's expression softened, just slightly. "Lauren," she said, "you owe them nothing. Take your things and go." I exhaled slowly, like releasing years of held breath. "Thank you." I turned to my father. "You wanted obedience. You got silence instead. I hope it echoes." He stepped toward me, desperate. We can fix this. You're still my daughter. I met his eyes. Not tonight. Then I looked at Mia. You could have said no. You always could have. She swallowed, speechless. Margaret tapped her cane once more. The party is over. Guests scattered, murmuring apologies and excuses. The quartet packed their instruments in silence. Even the air conditioning sounded eager to escape. I met Margaret at the door. Up close, her face was fierce, proud. You did well, she whispered. They finally saw who you are. And who they are, I replied. She nodded. Tomorrow, we'll sign the paperwork. I smiled faintly. Get some rest tonight. She squeezed my arm. You too, child. Outside, the night air hit my skin, warm, sharp, alive with the scent of grass and exhaust. I glanced back once through the glass wall. My parents stood frozen in the wreckage. Mia still knelt on the floor. The pearl glinted under the chandelier. And for the first time, I walked away without looking back. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like release. A black sedan idled at the curb. Kayla leaned against it, arms crossed, already knowing. So, she came, she asked. It's over, I said. She opened the door. Then let's go home. As we pulled away, the house shrank in the rearview mirror, its glowing windows fading like dying embers. My reflection overlapped with the skyline ahead, calm and steady, finally untouchable. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I let the silence settle into the space where their voices used to live. By morning, the video was everywhere. Someone had streamed the entire night, the announcement, my refusal, the slap, and the moment my grandmother walked in. It spread across every platform, stitched with captions like, Father slaps daughter over penthouse gift, family party erupts into public collapse. By noon, reporters crowded outside my parents' house. My father's business partners quietly pulled out of pending deals. My mother's charity board asked her to step down temporarily. Mia's engagement dissolved overnight. Ryan's family released a statement about values and stability. I didn't comment. I didn't need to. The world was speaking for me. Morning light poured through my penthouse windows, stretching across the floor like a promise. Kayla sat on the couch, scrolling, shaking her head. They're trending, she said. And not the kind you recover from. I poured coffee, the aroma filling the quiet. They wanted attention, I said. Now they have it. She looked up carefully. Do you feel better? I considered it. The ache on my cheek had faded to a faint echo. No, I said honestly. Not better. Just done. A new email blinked on my laptop. From Margaret Brooks. Subject, finalized. The paperwork is complete. Everything is under your name now. Rest. I closed the laptop and leaned back, letting the stillness settle. For the first time in years, silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. That evening, the city glowed beneath my windows, a map of everything I'd survived. I stood there holding the pearl earring between my fingers, its surface cool and smooth. Then I fastened it back into place. The reflection in the glass looked like someone I finally recognized. People think revenge is loud, that it burns and destroys. They're wrong. Real revenge is quiet. It's choosing yourself. And never looking back. I picked up my phone and typed a message to Kayla. Dinner tomorrow? A heart appeared instantly. I smiled. If you've ever had to walk away from people who were supposed to love you, I whispered, you're not alone. And for the first time. I meant it.